It's man God, I'm about to do my thing. They say I got an opinion on everything.
Got out of prison.
Asshole.
Was probably
Asshole.
about
No,
26,
no
27 at the
cash
time.
flow.
Brandon and I were both
Man,
about
hold
15
up.
years old.
Smash soul.
And Brandon's family had moved from South
I'm
Central
smash
LA out
soul.
to Lancaster
What it
to try
do,
to get
man?
away from the gangs and the crime and the
Do, man.
drugs
I'm
and all
on
of
it.
that. And so they
I'm
thought
on it,
like the
boy. Say,
suburbs of
boy, my
Lancaster is where it's
boy,
at.
holy shit.
So they had moved their family out there. And I
Hey,
remember his dad was a
boy.
pastor and was the
My,
pastor of a small
my,
church. I think it was called like West Athens or something like that, off of 123rd
everybody got
and
a house,
Vermont
man.
in
Everybody got a
South
house. I'm
Central
not even
LA,
jump on
borderline
you.
of Gardena and South Central. So this pastor had moved his kids out there, and Brandon's older brother had gone to prison, got out of prison, and I'm hanging out with Brandon one day in the apartment complex, and I was like emulating being a gang member at the time, and I was picking up a lot of it from the guys that were at that apartment.
What is this? This is the White Crip. Yeah, White Crip. Yeah. That's what it say. Sam. Tyler, why are you a White Crip, boy? Why is these? Why is these?
Apartment complex, and so I had this blue bandana in my back pocket. And when Brandon's brother comes pulling up in the car, he goes walking by me and he sees my blue band.
Yeah, that's some typical white boy shit. They have a bandana, different colors. They don't be down. You know what I'm saying? That ain't their style. You feel me? Yeah, yeah, you know what I'm saying? He just had a little, it's fire. It's fire. Ooh, right there. Ooh. You boy, you can't catch your ass. Though. I ain't right with mama. You feel me? Yeah. Let's check him out, man. Ooh, man, he don't sound, he picked up no lingo. He said this is back when he was born, when he was a boy. That boy kept the same speech pattern 100%. Let's see him talk.
Bandana, and as a way of just like kind of like making fun of me in a sense, you know, he was like, "White boy, like, what are you doing with that bandana in your pocket?" And I was like, "I'm a Crip," and he was like, "What? You're a what? Where are you from?" And so we had our own little name inside of this apartment complex, right? We were called Pack Mob, pimping ass criminals. And so anyways, we were just like a little wannabe clique. But little did I know that Brandon's older brother was a real Crip from a real gang, from a gang that's one of the original in South Central LA.
Okay.
And I think what he saw in me was somebody that he could groom, you know, in a lot of different ways. I think he saw somebody that was really hungry for acceptance and accepted.
Ooh. Ooh. Got him one, boy. Ooh. Oh, he got him one. He said, oh, he got him one, bitch. I his bitch. Ooh, wee. Ooh, wee, boy. Ooh.
Into this lifestyle that I was like idealizing in a lot of different ways because he started to ask me to like roll with him and, you know, get in his car and we would drive around and, you know, he would ask me about myself and like,
Oh, I bet that boy dick was hard. Yeah. I bet that nigga dick was hard. You know what I'm saying? Got him one, boy. Whew.
like I started to feel like this was my older homie right here. And I looked up to him. And I remember one day we were sitting in this blue Jeep Cherokee that he had, and he asked me, he goes, "Yo, man, what do you want to do? Do you want to sell drugs? Do you want to rob? You know, you got to do something. How are you going to make money out here on your own?" And I had tried selling drugs before this, and it didn't end well. Where the guys that I was selling some drugs to had pretty much taken the dope from me and wouldn't pay me. And so the guy that I was selling drugs for popped up for me to give him his issue of the of the drugs that I was selling to.
That boy got caught in a smoky big worm situation, huh? What? Yeah. You ain't had the money, huh? You had to count the money and then flip it over and count it again, huh, boy?
Give him an issue of the money for the drugs that I was selling for him. And he, when I didn't have it, he looked at me and he was like, okay, cool. And he drove off. And probably about a week later, he had 2 guys beat me up, really bad. They had jumped on me and beat me unconscious and really worked me over. So for me, I was like, I don't really ever want to go back to selling drugs. And
everybody don't win selling dope. Everybody don't win selling dope. Selling dope can half-ass be some scary shit, man. You hear me? Niggas do not want to be outside selling. Look here, man. A dope boy scared me one time. Yeah. He scared me, man. He was like, I was going to get some gas. Some petrol. And he walking up to me talking about trying to sell me some gas. You know what I'm saying? So, like, damn, boy. So I met him, I kind of met him halfway and shit, so he wouldn't be too close to my car. And I said, well, just give me 10. Give me a 10 out of that thing. I'm not gonna go into real, what was really said. But he started just dumping it in my hand. Like he ain't had wrapped up, bagged up, or no shit like that. So he just started dumping it in my hand. And I'm like, yeah. And finally, after I seen he was going over, I was like, this some fluffy. Well, it ain't fluffy, but it's not heavy. But at the same time, it was kind of, compact. It wasn't just loose little leaves and little orange hairs coming off like that. It was more like crunchy, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking and he was giving me too many though. And so I had to tell him to stop. You feel me? I was like, dang, boy. And hurry up, gave him 2 $5 bills. Went on back to my car. Cause I know I got a 15 out of that. I'm gonna say that. Cause I'm fair. You know what I'm saying? I know I got 15 out of the situation. The way that boy kept shaking the bag, I could have got a 20 out of his own. You know what I'm saying? For the price of 1, dog. Feel me?
Brandon's older brother was like, well, I hit licks, and would you like to try that? So anyways, he pulls out a gun, and he puts the gun in my lap, and he's like, you want to hold it? So I hold the gun, and I look at it, and I remember it made me feel really powerful. It made me feel like I was, like I didn't have to be scared, and it made...
Ooh, that boy got a little piece of courage in his palm. Mm-hmm. He got that, you know what I'm saying, Incredible Hulk in his palm, boy. He got that Incredible Hulk in his palm.
Made me feel like I was one step further in being like real in this lifestyle, you know, and not just a wannabe who's sleeping in this abandoned car pretending to be a gang member. So anyways, he's like, look, I'm going to drive around. I'm going to drop off some dope and stuff like that. You hold the gun. If the cops get behind us, I'll pull over, jump out. You run off with it. I'll skirt off this way, right? We'll get away, you know. And I'm like, all right, that sounds like it makes sense. So anyways, we start driving around and I'm holding the gun, and that kind of becomes my job with him. I start holding the gun all the time. And one day he introduces me to this other guy, and he's like, hey man, this is a guy that's a part of my crew, and we're gonna go and we're gonna rob this building, and I want you and you to go in. I'll drive the getaway car, and when you guys come running out, you'll throw the money into and the mask and the gun into my car. You guys jump into this stolen car. We'll drive off and we'll meet up over here. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is getting.
Got him one, boy. Man, he got him one, dog. Man, he got him one, dog. Ooh. Ooh-wee. Say, man, he got him one, dog.
Real. And so I agreed. And I remember it was a Ralph's off of 123rd in Vermont, right? Because by this point, he had taken me down to LA, down to South Central, had introduced me to the gang that he was from. And I was like on my way to gaining acceptance from these guys in this new area now. Kind of jumping around a little bit. Just to go back and talk about how I went down to...
If you don't think your complete full, top to bottom Batman shirt wearing ass, boy, you is not supposed to see Batman's head and legs at the same time standing up straight, man. That shit is borderline faggotry, dog. Oh, let me get past that part. Man, hold on, dog. Yeah, I don't want
me because when he told me that, I felt really excited. I felt life. People like Peter Lauren takes me down to South Central. It's on the borderline of Gardena and West LA, and or South LA, I mean. And there's a park there called Helen Keller Park, and it's like the hub of the gang. And the gang's name was Raymond Avenue Crip. And it's a very old neighborhood inside of like Crip history.
Boy. Oh, I don't even want to watch it no more. Ooh, man, take you. Boy, that is a kid's shirt, boy. Real spill. That is a kid's shirt. You're not supposed to wear that over the age of 9, nigga. You're not supposed to wear that shirt over the age of 9. Boy.
And so you have 3 factions: Pasadena, Tin Deuce, which is Eagle Watts, and then you have the 120s, which are the originals, and that's the spot at Helen Keller Park. So I get out of the car, and it's what's called a hood day, which is everybody from all the different factions are all at this park, right? Showing kind of like the strength of the gang. And I get out and I see hundreds of Crips, and they're all like barbecuing, and they're all partying with each other. And I was like, man, this is fucking like, it just was so exciting, and it felt electric, and it felt so foreign compared to what I come from, you know, that it made me want to just like immerse myself in it. And so Brandon's older brother starts introducing me to everybody, and later that night I get put on the gang. Two guys, they jump over this fence, I jump over the fence, we start getting busy, and they jump me in, and afterwards there's this big celebration, and I felt really special by being this white kid from Lancaster and gaining acceptance from, you know, these real gangsters down in the city. So going back to this Ralph's, well, the Ralph's is a grocery store in the...
Boy, he definitely got in one. He definitely got on one. Let's jump through the thorn.
The only Raymond down there at the time. He was hearing about me. He had never met me because he had been in jail for so long. So he wanted to come down and meet me, meet the white boy from the neighborhood and all that type of stuff. So he comes down, we move into a cell together. And then all of a sudden, probably 3-4 days later, some of the East Coast pop up on the cell door, and they're like, hey man, your brother's here. And I'm thinking it's my real brother. But it was Brandon's older brother that was on a completely different case. He had already got away with the case that we were on, and by me not cooperating, I was the only one riding the beef. So he comes in on domestic violence, and he gets moved into the cell with us. And the East Coast come back to the cell.
Ain't no way with your two nutsacks took the whole beef for a group of black dudes, man. Ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way. Is this real? Y'all already look unreal. Like, come on now. Ain't no way. I don't know, man.
And they say that they want for Bardog to get pulled out of the cell into what's called the trustee day room in order to get disciplined because he had fought an East Coast Crip up on the 4000 floor and had beat him up. And so they were like, you know what, you're down here in our unit now. We want Bardog to come out. We want to fight him, and we're going to, what's called discipline him, you know. You know, the Raymonds were a little bit different because they were a small gang, but they were a really tight gang. And one of the things that I was always told was nobody disciplines a Raymond but a Raymond. You know, you can't. So for me, I felt like, man, what are these East Coast doing talking about they're going to pull the homeboy out and they're going to go discipline him? And so the three of us, me, Brandon's brother, and Bardog, man, we all decide, man, Bardog's not going out there. Man, fuck these dudes, you know? They're going to have to come in here if they're going to want to get Bardog. We're not going to, unless they're going to have all of us go out there, and then we'll just line it up with the East Coast car. So they say, man, we're not lining shit up. If you don't let Bardog come out here, we're going to rack the cell door, and we're going to come in here, and we're going to handle all you guys. So we say, fuck it, let's do it. They start lining up on the cell door, and there's probably maybe 8-6, you know, guys that are out there, East Coast Crips. They rack that door, and they run in there, and sure enough, man, we all start getting busy, big time. And while that was going on, we're fighting all the way through, hair's getting pulled out, you know, the whole thing is taking place. It's done, the guys leave. Bardog and I look at each other, and Brandon's brother comes rolling out from underneath the bunk. And we look at each other, and I think that was like one of the first times that this illusion, the bubble, had popped about like how I looked up to Brandon's brother. Because I felt like, man, we're all willing to give our life for this, and you're hiding underneath the bunk, when this is taking place. And it was like the first time that I had seen this in him, and I felt like it was weak, and I felt like it was soft. And it was an important moment because as time was going by, I was starting to question whether or not I wanted to be in this anymore. Did I want to be a Crip anymore? Did I, all these different things I was going through. And, it was just, it just was an enlightening moment that I never forget.
Yeah, buddy. You had a core admiral moment right there. Yeah, you see a whole admiral in action, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, I know that hurt. Oh my gosh. Ooh, you find out your home for a hole? But you been, you know what I'm saying? Been maneuvering hard. But then when you look back at what he do, stuff he did, then it make you question, you feel me? Ooh.
So anyways, I lose my trial. I get sent upstate, and I go to Tehachapi Max. I get inside of the reception center, and when I'm in the reception center, two white guys move on me, two skinheads move on me on the yard. Because once you get to the state, it's different than the county. In the county jail, even though I was targeted for being a White Crip, it was all about gang activity. But when you get to the state, it's about racial activity. Now it's the entire race is involved. So blacks go with the blacks, whites go with the whites, Mexicans and Latinos are split up in between two factions, the North and the South, and then you have what's called the others, which is Islanders, Asians, Native Americans, and so forth. So anyways, I get to Tehachapi, and they ask me on the yard who I roll with. I tell them I'm a Crip. Obviously, that causes a whole lot of buzz on the yard. And I'm walking to chow one day, and on my way back, these two skinheads jump on me, try to stab me, and we all go to the hole. And that was kind of like the beginning of my journey in the state. I go from Tehachapi, from the reception up to 4A. 4A is called a 180 yard in the state of California, and a 180 is the highest maximum security that you can be at. It's called 180 because of the design, and there's the tower that has a 180 view of all the different cells, and they're cut off.
It took me that damn long to realize what this man just said. Just not that long ago. He just said, I went from a place where it was about gang activity to a place where it was about race. So, that's what happened to your Crip voice, motherfucker. Yeah, you got with your race. You know what I'm saying? And they made you turn that shit off. Yeah. So really, you still more down with that shit than you is the Crip. I'm calling. You more down with that shit than you is the Crip, homie.
Off into sections, so that way they have the most amount of control over the population. So I go up to 4A, and when I get there, I'm there for maybe about 2 weeks before it kicks off again. Skinheads are sent at me, they stab me, and we all go back to the hole, and we all catch what's called a SHU term, segregated housing unit. So we go to the SHU, 4B. I finish up a 6-month SHU term, and I go to open up this new prison called Kern Valley State Prison, which was a super prison that Arnold Schwarzenegger had approved the funding for, and it had opened up. And it was a SHU kickout yard. Now, a SHU kickout yard meant that all these guys are, what's going to go to the yard and go open up that institution is people coming out of the SHU. So it's all the big dogs, all the bucket gangsters, all the shot callers, all the foot soldiers, the ones that are really putting in work, are going up here to open this place up and start to establish the boundaries of what belongs to who. This handball court belongs to the Southsiders and the whites. This handball court belongs to the blacks. This water fountain belongs to the fucking, blacks. These showers belong to so-and-so. And then they start to establish the drug trade. And, here goes the hierarchy of the prison and the structure of it. So anyways, I get on the bus, and as I'm riding on this bus, it's coming from Calipat. And Calipat had this huge riot between the Southsiders and the correctional officers, where the Southsiders had moved on the correctional officers, and during that time, the officers had shot one of them and killed, one of the Southsiders during the riot. And so the institution was like, we're busting all these motherfuckers out. So they put all these dudes, all the shot callers and Calipat and stuff, they put them on the bus, and they stop off at Tehachapi. I get out of Tehachapi onto the bus, and one of the people on there was this dude named Big Ben Dog from Raymond, who's like a legend. And they sit me next to this dude from Hoover with one eye. I don't even know his name. But he looks at me when they sit me next to him, and he goes, "What the fuck you sitting next to me for, white boy?" Like that. And I said, or no, Wood. "What the fuck you sitting next to me for, Wood?" I look at him and I said, "I ain't no Wood, I'm a fucking Crip." He went, "What? You're a Crip?" I went, "Yeah." He goes, "From where?" So, "I'm from Raymond." "Which one?" "I'm from all of them." "Doesn't matter which one, I'm from all of them, man. Pasadena, 10 dudes, 120, pick." So anyways, he like laughs and chuckles about it, and he leans back and he goes, "Yo, Ben Dog, dude right here says he's your little homie." And all of a sudden, this guy like turns around, little fro and glasses, tattoos on his face, right? Older guy. And this is before tattoos on the face were popular. It was like the older guys that had it. It was a different level of gangster that had the tattoos on their face. So I look at him and I'm like, damn, like it was like meeting a celebrity, And he looks at me and he goes, "You from Raymond?" I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "All right, when we get to Kern Valley, we'll chop it up." So I'm like, okay. So anyways, we get to Kern Valley. They start taking everybody off the bus, and they leave me on the bus. And the officers come in and they cuff me, and then they go and they put me in a separate tank that's right next to everybody else. And I said, "What the fuck you guys putting me over here for?" And he's like, "Well, it's for your protection." I said, "I don't need no protection, man. Put me over there with the homeboy." And they're like, "You sure?" I go, "Yeah." So they take me out of the tank, they put me into that tank, and they're like, "Good luck." So they go walking off. Ben Dog and I start talking. And, at first he's asking me all these questions to try to figure out, who am I? He hadn't heard of me yet or anything like that. And was I really who I said I was? Meaning, am I really from Raymond? Or am I some kid that's from the valley that's like, almost like, am I exactly what I am? Am I a kid from the valley who's like just pretending to be this?
You gotta check these whole ass niggas out, man. You know what I'm saying? Gotta check these whole ass niggas out. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man. Playing my hood. You all the way out of bounds. You know what I mean? Like, say, hey, man, get this Batman chest having ass dude, check him out, man.
But, I was really from it. So, anyways, Ben Dog's little brother is this dude named Big Joker, who's, man, he's everybody knows Big Joker. And so, Ben Dog, we get to the yard. We're on A yard, and
fuck that. Earlier I said you're not supposed to wear a Batman stand up straight, showing his from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet on no picture. At first I said above age 9, above age 6. That's a 6-year-old shirt, boy. Ooh, man.
Nobody there. I mean, there was dust from the cement still in the cells. That's how new this place was. And he goes out and he gets on the phone to do, a quick little background check on me. he gets off the phone and he comes back in and he says, man, I talked to my brother, man. He goes, and he's got so much fucking love for you. He says to look after you and stuff. And so Ben Dog like fully embraces me. And I felt like really good because this was the first time that I was around an older dude in the joint. I had just been moved on into Tehachapi on more.
Man, look. He flipped the script on me. You know, came with doo-wop Diddy. I didn't join with the whites. I joined with the blacks. Brothers. You know what I'm saying? And, yeah, they... Oh, he hit me with the doo-wop Diddy on that. I should have known, though. I should have known. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm just like, why won't he shed the accent? Like, the accent is lily white. Like, you can be from anywhere. With that accent, you can be from anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, anywhere.
Multiple yards, and now I felt like, man, like a little bit of safety.
Anywhere except the East Coast. So you can be from the Midwest to the South, all the way over to the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta let the momentum on the East Coast. You feel me?
Almost, you know, like, man, all right, I got a shot caller that's basically behind me now, and so we get called for our first yard, and we go out there, and Ben Dog says, I got to go holler at the woods, you know, and we got to start politicking. Make sure you can stay here. So he goes over to the wood pile, man, and the shot caller from the woods and him, they all get together, and I'm like standing off to the side. I don't know what's being said or anything like that. And Ben Dog comes back, and we go into the cell, and he goes, man, bro, we just need to be ready because, you know, they're not going to let you stay on this yard. They're gonna move on you. And what do you want to do? I said, I ain't going fucking nowhere, man. Let them move on me. You know, this Raymond Crip. So about 2 days later,
oh, they got on one big time, boy. Say, man, this somebody's dying like that, boy. Hey. What do they call that? What do they call that? I forgot.
We're still in the cell. We're in the cell for 24 hours out of the day. Yard hasn't been called back up yet. The institution A yard is on standby because of me. I'm the only white crip on the yard. And so they're trying to like figure out and mitigate the issues that are going on behind.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's hard to believe right here. Especially when you're... Especially with that accent, man. The accent is stupid, dumb, hard to believe. But this dude is an actual white crip. You know, got this fucking Batman shirt on, full body, that hairstyle too, bro. That shit, I don't know, that shit neat as fuck at the top, showing the full extent of his big old forehead. Like, this man's a thinker, you know what I'm saying? Shit. Yeah, I don't know how to look at this, man.
Having me on this yard. And at night, probably around 8 o'clock at night, all of a sudden IGI, which is like the, they're like the special forces of the institution in this way. What had happened in his life was his daughter had moved to North Carolina and married a black guy, and Hap had disowned her for marrying a black guy. Said, no daughter of mine is going to be with something like that, And over the telephone, he told her that she wasn't his daughter anymore and he wanted nothing to do with her. And about 2 weeks later, she died in a car crash.
Damn, bitch ass nigga. It took out the game? Well, how did I just jump straight into this situation? Like, just straight into this one, yeah, man, dude disowned his daughter for, like, marrying black people. What the fuck? Well, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. I mean, that's, the racial side of it is basically what this whole video is about. You know what I mean? Still, damn, homeboy took his daughter out the game. Real spill, you know what I'm saying?
And it fucked him up. And when I landed on the yard, he saw me as an opportunity to try to like go back and maybe do something right. He saw me as this person who, was a Crip and hung out with the blacks and all this stuff. And so for him, his normal reaction that would have been like, man, fuck that dude, he wants to be over there with them, be over there with them. Instead, he was like, man, this kid is fucking lost. And he wanted to do something right. So he moves me in the cell. And I don't know all this is going on. He doesn't tell me this until years later. But he moves me in the cell. And one day I'm on the top bunk and I'm watching TV and he says, what do you do? I go, what do you mean, what do I do? Because what do you do with your life? What do you do with your time? Work out, read. How do you take care of yourself? Oh, man, every now and again my dad sends me money for canteen and that type of thing. And he says, man, I think you're a good kid. I hope everything works out for you. He goes, but right now you got life in prison. And it's not that your family doesn't love you or anything like that, but parents pass away. Your brothers might have families and move on. And you need to know that you can take care of yourself. And he says, if you want, I'll teach you how to draw. And you'll always be able to take care of yourself in here through drawing. And I was like, oh, man, all right.
Okay. Another somebody that want to father this man. You know what I'm saying? They can see the mental in him. They can see that mentalness. I don't know, maybe y'all not getting a good look like I am, but you can see the mental. Man, hold up. You can see this mental.
And he says, let me tell you why drawing is a good thing. He said, you won't have the money that the drug dealer does. The drug dealer is going to be stacked with canteen and all these different things, he says, but the drug dealer, it can go like this. As soon as they get caught, everything gets confiscated, they got to start all over again. He goes, with your artwork, that won't happen. You'll always be able to keep with what you have. He goes, and you won't have to start over. You'll only continue to go forward. And it just resonated with me. And so I said, let's do it. And we started off with like precious moment cards, Valentine's cards for guys that were, wanting to send things home to loved ones. And I decided I was going to set a work schedule. I had never had a job up to this point. I was about 23 now. I had never really earned anything like that in my life in that way. Even robbery is just going and taking from somebody. So there's no,
oh man, you dead for a job. It is. You dead for a job.
my idea of what work ethic was, or to have pride in something that I did, was nothing. So I committed myself to the artwork, and I set an 8-hour schedule, Monday through Friday, with a 1-hour lunch break. I thought about like how my dad works, and that was kind of like the framework that I did. I was like, well, he went to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and then the weekends were off, and you have an hour lunch break. And so I was just like trying to imitate that in some type of way. And as time went by, I started to get better, and I went away from just precious moments were all about me. That was like, my life and what I'm going through and all of that type of stuff. But once that all started to stabilize, my thoughts drifted towards not me, but like the things that I had done, the way that people were impacted by that. My family, the victims' families, the community mitts and things like that out of shower shoes and double in bags. We would take the boxer briefs, bust them apart, and take all the twine out of them and like spin our line and make all of our equipment. And so like I had a pretty good, well-rounded training when it came to boxing. And I was looking for a place to box when I came home because I wanted to be a part of something that felt like familiar to me on the inside. Boxing was a huge portion. On the inside, I got to the place where I was teaching guys. And so I was like, man, I'm going to look for a gym so that way I can like go in and train and still have that be a part of my life. And I walk into a gym in Woodland Hills called Phil Paulina's on Fallbrook. And I go in, and there's this old Italian guy who's watching these two guys sparring. And it was an old school style gym. It had the ring, it had all the, had all the pictures and stuff on the walls. Cool stairs led up to it, the sound of it, everything. I just loved it, So I get in there, and I'm waiting for Phil to talk to me, and I ask him if I can use some of the equipment. Do you mind if I box around in here a little bit? And he's like, nah, go for it. I'll talk to you in a bit. So I wrap up with my own stuff, and I start hitting the bags and everything, and guys start asking me about my training and all this stuff. And as they're asking me in there, I start to feel like I'm like being dodgy with how I'm answering stuff. Like they're asking me what other gyms I've been to, what other clubs I've been to, and I'm like, man,
them boys was impressed because he learned how to box in prison. That's wild, bro.
I eventually just had to be like, I haven't been to any of that. I just came home from prison, And so when I told him my story, Phil said, don't worry about paying. Don't worry about any of that stuff. You just be in the gym. It's going to be a great place for you. And I love your energy. And I said, all right, man, I was just so thankful for it. So I start going there all the time. I'm like there in the morning. I'm hanging out all day. And I didn't want to be a free ride. So I start helping wrap up the wraps, mopping up the place, sweeping, taking the wraps home, washing them. And I just wanted to be helpful. And then I'm starting to notice that there's like not really anybody being trained that much. Phil's an older guy. There's just kind of members coming in. And so I tell Phil after a couple of weeks, and I say, hey, man, do you want me to help with some mitts and maybe coach some guys around here? And he goes, Tyler, do you know what the fuck you're doing? And I said, yeah, I know what I'm doing, man. And he goes, all right, I'll keep it in mind. So about 10 minutes later, he calls me into the ring, and he puts a couple people in there, and he says, man, run him through some drills and stuff. So I just did what I'd been doing on the yard. About a month earlier, I start running him through some drills and everything. And at the end of it, Phil calls me over, and he goes, look, man, shadow me for another 2 weeks, and if at the end of it I still feel like it, man, I'm going to hire you. And I went, wow. I went home and I told my dad, I said, I think I just got my first fucking job. My dad's like, something doesn't sound right about this place. He's such a skeptic. But anyways, he's like, I go home and I was like super proud, So I started shadowing Phil, and at the end of it, sure enough, he hires me on. And I'm only making like $14 an hour under the table, but I didn't give a shit. It was gas money, and I just was my job, first time. And so anyways, as time is going on, Phil starts like entrusting me more and more. And he starts handing me the keys. And then he's like, hey, I got to go to the bank. I'll be back. I don't see him for like 3 days. I'm opening the place up, I'm closing the place, I'm turning the music on.
Damn. somebody else got him one. Yeah, they just keep getting him one. Like, off this man, he plucking off ones. Like, yeah, the strip club, man. You know what I'm saying? So one. Like, damn, boy. You are number one. Yeah, look at ass, boy.
Popping everything out, training the clients, like all of this different stuff. Membership triples within like a month and a half, right? Everybody starts coming in. And one day this guy asked me, will you go train my brother? He'll never come to the gym, but would you be willing to do a house call? This guy named Kyrie. He's a fire captain or something out here in LA County. And I said, yeah. I go, man, I've never done a house call, but sure, I was just open to anything and everything, any opportunity. And he said, great, I'll send you the address. So he gives me the address, and the day comes for me to go over to his brother's place. I start driving over there, and it puts me in Bel Air. I'm like, wow, this is fucking nice, all these mansions and all this stuff, and I'm like feeling intimidated, and I pull up to this house, and there's a little speaker out there that the guy talks to me through, he's like, oh yeah, go through the side. So I go through the side in this backyard. It's a beautiful home. This guy comes out, and I start training him. And at the end, he goes, man, I really want you to train my kids too. Would you be willing to work with them? And I said, yeah, of course. So his kids come over, and they're like, one's like 10, one's like 13. I train them through an hour. And he's like inviting me back. He's like, man, I love it. And it ends up being this guy named.
Yeah, so I guess, I don't know. Y'all can keep going. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like the Crip and over with. You know what I'm saying? The Crip is done. You feel me? Stop being the Crip when he was in prison. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's, but it's this certain segment right here, they got an extra label called Finding Purpose Behind Bars. Behind Bars. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? What's wrong with y'all?